Unsolved Mystery. Juan comes up to the Mexican border on his bicycle. He's got two large bags over his shoulders. The guard stops him and says,
"What's in the bags?"
"Sand,"
answers Juan. The guard says,
"We'll just see about that. Get off the bike."
The guard takes the bags and rips them apart. He empties them out and finds nothing in them but sand. He detains Juan overnight and has the sand analyzed, only to discover that there is nothing in the bags. The guard releases Juan, puts the sand into new bags, hefts them onto the man's shoulders, and lets him cross the border. A week later, the same thing happens. The guard asks,
"What have you got?"
"Sand,"
says Juan. The guard does his thorough examination and discovers that the bags contain nothing but sand. He gives the sand back to Juan, who crosses the border on his bicycle. This sequence of events is repeated every week for 3 years. Finally, Juan doesn't show up one day, and the guard meets him in a cantina in Mexico.
"Hey, buddy.
Says the guard.
I know you are smuggling something. It's driving me crazy. It's all I think about. I can't sleep. Just between you and me, what are you smuggling?"
Juan sips his beer and says,
"Bicycles."
Answering machine. "Hi, you've reached the home of George Leddick. If you're calling to collect a student loan, gambling debt, or other obligation, please press 1 and hang up now. If you are selling any product or service, or requesting charitable donations, please press 2 and hang up now. Otherwise, press 3 and leave your message now. Pressing 3 is optional."
Did you ever wonder, can you cry underwater? Why do people pay to go up tall buildings and then put money in binoculars to look at things on the ground? If money doesn't grow on trees, then why do banks have branches? Why is it that people say they slept like a baby when babies wake up like every 2 hours? If you drink Pepsi at work in the Coke factory, will they fire you? If a 911 operator has a heart attack, whom does he call? The owner of a large factory decided to make a surprise visit and check up on his staff. Walking through the plant, he noticed a young man leaning lazily against a post.
"Just how much are you being paid a week?"
said the owner angrily.
$300,
replied the man. Taking out a fold of bills from his wallet, the owner counted out $300, slapped the money into the boy's hands, and said,
"Here's a week pay. Now get out and don't come back."
Turning to one of the supervisors, he said,
"How long has that lazy bum been working here anyway?"
"He doesn't work here.
said the supervisor.
He was just here to deliver a pizza."
Punishment.
A man was sent to hell for his sins. As he was being taken to his place of eternal torment, he passed a room where Bill Clinton was having an intimate conversation with a beautiful young woman.
What a ripoff.
The man muttered.
I have to roast for all eternity, and that Democrat gets to spend it with a beautiful woman?
Jabbing the man with his pitchfork, the escorting demon snarled,
"Who are you to question that woman's punishment?"
Three envelopes. A new manager spends a week at his new office with the manager he is replacing. On the last day, the departing manager tells him, "I have left 3 numbered envelopes in the desk drawer. Open an envelope if you encounter a crisis you can't solve." 3 months later, there is major drama. Everything goes wrong. The usual stuff. And the manager feels very threatened by it all. He remembers the parting words of his predecessor and opens the first envelope. The message inside says, "Blame your predecessor." He does this and gets off the hook. About half a year later, the company is experiencing a dip in sales, combined with serious product problems. The manager quickly opens the second envelope. The message reads, "Reorganize." This he does, and the company quickly rebounds. 3 months later, at his next crisis, he opens the third envelope. The message inside says, "Prepare 3 envelopes." Smart Doggie. 2 women that are dog owners are arguing about which dog is smarter.
My dog is so smart. Every morning, he waits for the paper boy to come around, and then he takes the newspaper and brings it to me.
I know.
How?
My dog told me.
Theater outing. The Cowboy lay sprawled across 3 entire seats in the posh Amarillo Theater. When the usher came by and noticed this, he whispered to the Cowboy.
Sorry, sir, but you're only allowed 1 seat.
The Cowboy groaned but didn't budge. The usher became more impatient.
Sir, if you don't get up from there, I'm going to have to call the manager.
The Cowboy just groaned. The usher marched briskly back up the aisle. In a moment, he returned with the manager. Together, the 2 of them tried repeatedly to move the Cowboy, but with no success. Finally, they summoned the police. The cop surveyed the situation briefly, then asked, "All right, buddy, what's your name?"
Sam.
The Cowboy moaned. "Where you from, Sam?" With pain in his voice, Sam replied,
The balcony.
Error messages. Microsoft is trying to add some humor to its error messages in Windows 2000 and up. Here are a couple of examples. Printer not responding. Got a pen and paper handy? 3 things are certain in life: taxes, death, and data loss. Guess which has occurred? Error messages. Microsoft is trying to add some humor to it.
"Bear in a bar." This bear walks into a bar, then he sits down and orders a beer. The bartender, amazed that this bear can actually talk, gives him a beer. The bear says, "What do I owe you?" The bartender stops and thinks for a moment. Even though this bear is smart, thinks the bartender, he probably hasn't been in many bars. So the bartender says, "That'll be $10. The bear forks over the money and starts drinking his beer. After a few minutes, the bartender can't restrain his curiosity. So he walks back over to the bear and tries to strike up a conversation. "You know, we don't get many bears in this bar." The bear looks up from his beer and says,
Well, at $10 a beer, I'm not surprised.
A really bad day. There was this guy at a bar, just looking at his drink. He stays like that for half an hour. Then, this big troublemaking truck driver steps next to him, takes the drink from the guy, and just drinks it all down. The poor man starts crying. The truck driver says,
Come on, man. I was just joking. Here, I'll buy you another drink. I just can't stand to see a man cry.
No, it's not that. This day is the worst day of my life. First, I fall asleep, and I go late to my office. My boss, outraged, fires me. When I leave the building, to my car, I found out it was stolen. The police said that they can do nothing. I get a cab to return home, and when I leave it, I remember I left my wallet and credit cards there. The cab driver just drives away. I go home. When I get there, I find my wife in bed with the gardener. I leave home and come to this bar, and just when I'm thinking about putting an end to my life, you show up and drink my poison.
Circle fly. During a traffic stop, a police officer is swatting at a fly that is circling around his head and blurts out,
What kind of damn fly is that anyhow?
the traffic offender replies, "That's a circle fly." The officer replies that he's never heard of a circle fly. The offender replies, "Circle flies are usually found circling around a horse's ass." Enraged, the police officer says,
Are you calling me a horse's ass?
to which the traffic offender replied,
No, sir, but you can't fool a circle fly.